I always thought it was up to me to make a difference. Means nothing to sheep. Fooled by the love of the government's hugs. I'm kissed by the one, she's a son from above. Ain't it funny in a room full of test ya? Making money for the moon, I betcha. Ain't it funny I'm your groom and I get ya? I'd see best when I see she's wet. If I had the chance I'd swim oceans and sing. Slap a smile from your face, you got nothing to bring. Two hands, great flick, thanks Heath Ledger. Elixir on elixir. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. Now I know that it's up to me to make a difference. Mine's like a sheep, not fooled by the government's hugs. Need a fast life, love like doves. Not fooled by the government's direction. Can't blame, don't give me erection. Might sound mean, but I think I see ya. And stranger, no danger.
Moment for a second, then I lose my concentration. If rumors were religion, then I'd be the confirmation. I intend to get my sights set on using information to connect the chosen people to this soulful inspiration. There are no limitations when you're living from the heart, shining light into the darkness with the art as we embark on an instrumental mission, stepping on a peaceful path, knowing where we come from, letting you know who we are.
I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again.
Nice background you got.
Mate, this really good mate of mine did this background for me.
Did he? Lucky you.
I appreciate it, my man. Looks a
I
lot
should get
better.
one. I'm sitting in my bus and I have no ceiling, so I really should.
Nice.
Get a background.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm out in the bus.
The back of the bus, the bus, the bus.
Past the bus. Where are we? Let's see. Oh my gosh, I've got no
Cool.
background.
Background.
Like,
I'm just gonna shut this window so I can hear my kids. Oh. There we go. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, bro.
I saw your last video, your last upload, your interview.
Oh yeah.
Is that still up?
I know. How about that?
I was listening to that and I was thinking, oh my God, you're
Oh.
skirting with it, dude.
No, it was one of those things like he started, I couldn't stop. And yeah,
No.
you know, he was wound up. Oh, Johnny.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I was thinking there needs to be more like that anyway. I'm going to start doing more rumbles, like doing live streams and then just cutting off YouTube
Yeah.
and then giving the good stuff. Because I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I was just listening. It's just a conversation, but I was just thinking, oh my God, it's going to get taken down. But
Yeah.
how retarded is that? Just because you're having a chat about what's going on.
I know you're not allowed to do that, mate.
Not allowed to do it.
Fucking
I mean,
stuff. And he's very he speaks well, Johnny. You know, he puts it all together quite well. So it's a good little interview, that. And
it is. Yeah.
he's an interesting guy, mate. You know, and he's got a lot to, you know, a lot of the stuff he talks about. It's very good information. And that's what I'm trying to do for the peeps, mate. That's all we're trying to do is just, you know, talk and bring as much info to the plate as to the table that we can, and try to decipher what the hell is going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, and I think you know, I think we've been through this before, right? We know about the resets and that they're sort of cyclical and everything, but I think the more we get into it, we're understanding that, you know, all of these resets, even though, you know, some of them are sort of, you know, cataclysmic and everything, the main component seems to be the mental aspect, doesn't it? you know, and the propaganda and the changing of values and the wiping of history. Because literally, I don't know if I can mention that book that was written, you know, about the year before 1985,
Yeah,
but
that. Yep, another one.
we're literally seeing that happen.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about how they rewrite history on a daily basis, and I remember reading that thinking, what the hell? That just how would that work? And now we're seeing how it works. They just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until all the weak-minded people just go, okay, we'll believe it. And then it gets written down in the books. And then, you know, in 20 years, that's the history, isn't it?
Mm.
Which is that big question. What are we doing? Like, how true is what we're looking into? This is the big question, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, we've been throwing some curveballs lately with different info. You know, the like when you were talking about, you know, this looks like we're in a video game or some sort of, you know, it's pretty crazy. Like, because we're history buffs, you know, we love, like, again, but, you know, being autodidactic, you can't hold on to anything, you know. We've got to just take the information on and take it on the chin, so to speak.
This is, you know, I was way into, you know, the whole megaliths, you know, and I was into Graham Hancock and, you know, Hugh Newman and all those, was it Greg Nunn, all those kind of, you know, that crowd. And, you know, it was all, you know, history was 12,000 years ago and everything. And I believed it all, you know, and had to let go of that. You just have to. When new information comes along, if you can't be stuck on something because you want to be right. You know, I remember like when Graham started talking about, you know, it's not necessarily aliens, because everyone was saying it's all aliens, it's aliens, and sort of Hancock was the first one to say no, maybe it wasn't. And you know, even then I jumped on like, yeah, of course it's not, but that was still a bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know, it's so this is what we've got to see, and we just got to be smart enough that, you know, we've got to be autodidactic, right? Just keep getting new information, and if that new information, you know, null and voids the old information, then we have to upgrade.
So be it. Yeah.
Exactly,
you know,
right.
we've just got to.
And this is what we want, right? Everyone's saying they want change. What is change? Then that's what it is. It's changing us and our beliefs and how we see the world and all that kind of stuff.
It's great. It is incredible to witness this stuff live. Like you said before, mate, how would they do that? How would they get away with that? And we're finding out how they get away with it. So interesting, you know, like to be observers in all of this.
It is. And I mean, this is the thing, like as observers, where, you know, we think everyone's like us, right? We think there's no way people would believe that. But now we're finding out that actually we're the minority, like we're the small minority, you know, the people, because of course now we have this big, you know, sector of people that have woken up, you know, and in the last 2 years, right? Oh, you awake? I'm awake. Everyone's awake. Oh, awake, awake, awake. But to what? You know, you're never really awake, are you? We're always in a process of waking up. I mean, if you're awake, you know, properly, that means you know everything, right? You'd be God. So this is the thing as well, is like there's all these different levels that people are understanding and can be manipulated on. You know, we're seeing at the moment in Australia, there's elections coming up. And so all these awake people are now out there saying, no, don't vote for them, vote for them. And like, we're sitting here going,
I know,
guys, that's the problem. Hello. So it's yeah, there's so many different levels to it, isn't there? So many different levels of you know, awakeness and of all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
very interesting times.
yeah. I think that people have just got to accept that, like, everything's a fucking lie. You know,
Well, I think that's a good place to start from.
Yeah.
You know, everything's a lie. Now, what can I prove that's real? You know, why not start there? Much easier. I mean, so it's much easier than going through everything and going, no, oh, crap, it's a lie. You know, once you're a year into it, right? Oh, that was a wasted year. Crap, it's all crap, you know. So, I mean, maybe that's what we need to do, right? And that's what this building the new earth is, I think. you know, not just me, everyone's been saying it, is we can't rebuild, or we can't build the future from the past, right? We can't build it predicated on what we're used to and what we think worked, and the root and all that kind of, that's all got to go, and we've got to start, building things that are coming from our imagination, right? Things that feel right, things that don't necessarily make sense in the system that we've been brought up in the world, but we've got to have that faith. If it feels right and we think it's the right way to go, we've just got to do it, because that's, again, right, that's the change, that's the new earth, that's the new world, that's what we're building. It's so, again, right, the statue's not finished when there's nothing more to add. The statue's finished when there's nothing more to take away. So
That's
just
good.
drop all the stuff. Yeah, just drop all the stuff and go forward.
Yeah, it's the only way we can do this. And mate, sorry, I'm going to stop saying mate.
I'm offended. I thought I was your friend, Gary.
You are my mate, for sure. But so one fascinating thing, Cam, that we talking about resets and all this interesting stuff. Like today, we were going to explore basically the daily life of an orphan as they enter this realm. I think it's just an interesting topic, mate, because you've got kids, I've got kids, you were a kid, I was a kid. We know what it's like growing up. It's hard enough growing up when you've got a loving family and clothes and a bed to sleep in and so forth, like, let alone to go imagine the trauma of what these people experience, mate. Absolutely horrifying. It's the only way to put it.
Well, I mean, what the evidence that we've got, it shows this generation, right, of childless people, and then this generation of these children, right, with no parents, and they're working in factories and stuff, and then suddenly they're being shipped out, around the world in planes, boats, trains, basically to be workers in factories and on farms. And this went up into World War II. I mean, no doubt it's still going on, right? But even in World War II, they had Operation Pied Piper, where they basically told all the parents in England, oh, you should send your kids to another country or else I'll get blown up, right?
Oh,
so the
crazy.
Big fear thing. Yeah, and they did. And a lot of those families never got reunited. And so this is the thing. I mean, apart from, what happened and where did these children come from and rah, the fact is that they were up here without parents. The adults that they had around them were like bosses in factories, or the boss on the farm, or a family that had really got them to use as slave labor. I mean, let's be blunt about it, right? And we're still going through that. This is the thing, right? But those people, those children, then became adults who then got married and had children. Now they didn't know how to raise children, right? And we see this so often, right? We see it. And I used to think about it when I was young. It's like, how does the line go because you would imagine that at the start, all parents, would be loving, right, to their kids. So what happened to make people violent, and how does that work in a linear timeline, right? And it kind of doesn't, unless the odd person might have a really bad experience, but that really wouldn't turn them into a child beat or something. But if they were an orphan and they never had parents, and the only adults they had around them used to abuse them and beat them and stuff, well, that's all they would know.
Yeah.
So,
and sorry,
I was just going to say, so it explains a lot of what we see in family violence.
And they're putting, sorry, can you see that pic, Cam?
No, it's just black.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I thought you were just showing the black cube of Saturn, but
sorry, mate. That was a bit of a nightmare. Okay, let's try this again. Share screen. Safari. Bang. Did that come up?
Something is happening. Yeah, we've got an orphan.
Good. Okay, that's good. That's where we want to be. So they've just come up wherever they've brought them up from underground and also from different countries, and we've got all these orphan trains, and we've got incubator babies being sold at world fairs. We have all this crazy stuff going on, mate. And like you said, this generation who's been entered into this realm, they haven't had parents, they've had controllers, you know, and that's just where it stemmed, that's where it started. So they feel like, you know, they're just part of this this system, and you're either in it or you're not. And like we touched upon before, guess where mummy and daddy have gone? Old Cam and Gaz are sitting in the they've just been lobotomized, you know, the old bang in the brain, and we're dribbling in you know, one of these goddamn
underground dams.
yeah, mental institutions that they've
Our DNA.
asylums.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. That's another massive bit, right? The lunatic asylums, and we know now that, you know, a huge percentage of those people in there were mothers that were basically, you know, destitute, poor mothers, right? That they used to, because basically when you became a single mother, you know, back in the day, there was no, you know, childcare or anything, and obviously, you know, families didn't really exist. So they couldn't really work, right, and they couldn't support their kids, and so they got talked into giving up their kids. A lot of the kids got stolen, and a lot of these women then just got thrown into the lunatic asylums and just classed as lunatics. And you know, there's a lot of stories, right, that the moon has come in at some point, and this is, you know, we're told way back in the past, but do we know that? You know, why are they called lunatics, right? Luna is the moon. Why did everyone suddenly go insane when we had these massive, because they're the biggest buildings in the old cities, the biggest buildings are the lunatic asylums and the jails, right? That's so I don't know if that's got anything to do with it as well, but that's definitely how they got rid of a lot of, yeah, the parents, and most probably, right, the dissenters, shall we call it, the free thinkers,
Yeah,
the errants, is that what Jason calls us?
the misfit.
You know, people who wouldn't comply with the system, and this could have been going through, you know, you can imagine these orphans, because what they did, and we know this, is they found whole towns, right, and then they turned them into these factory towns, and heaps of, you know, like Hershey's and all these other companies that we still have started like this, and they were pre-built towns all set up with houses and the factories and that, and they basically just bring in a population.
Yeah,
And we've got all the photos of the kids in factories, so no doubt it started with kids, right? They just bring them in and go, well, you live here, we'll feed you, you go here for 12 hours a day and do what you're told. And what would be their option if they ran away? There was probably just wasteland around them. Then, you know, a couple of years of that becomes their life, and, you know, if anyone who's like fuck you or runs away, just throw them in the loony bin, right? And then they get, because this is also weeding out so that they get a more controllable population,
that's right.
which is also another reason for war. You know, we know war destroys the cities, but war also destroys the men, right? The heroes, the dudes who are going to go out and you know, take a chance in a war and you know, go out and try and save their mates and that. They're normally the ones on the front line that get killed, right? The bravest, the best and bravest.
Get rid of the bravest first, leave all the weak ones, and then dumb them down and fluoridate the water. You know, they're not sure if if their friggin' dick is a vagina or a vagina is a penis. I mean, for goodness sake, mate, what the hell's going on with these people? Get off the tap water, you know, eat healthy, eat organic food. You might have.
That's another thing. Have you seen this whole, gotta be careful, I guess, like body image movement, where basically they're getting obese people and saying this is a healthy body image.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is what they're projecting. You know, this is all TikTok-y kind of, so this is all aimed at the younger generation, right? The 20s, you know, 20 and below sort of group. And this is what they're feeding them. you know, dudes in dresses with beards are women.
Yeah,
What?
unbelievable, mate.
You
I've
know,
there's
dudes with
around here.
their tackle can did the swimming race. Like, you know, the he she dude who beat all the chicks. He didn't
Sorry,
he
cutting
literally
out a bit, bro.
just am I? Oh, sorry, am I better now? It's my
You're,
internet.
maybe it's mine.
My back. Oh,
It's weird. All right, I think
hope it's not mine.
there we
But
go.
but yeah, that dude, he literally just put on a female bathing suit
I know.
and said, "I'm a woman." Like nothing. He didn't do anything. No body cutting, nothing. Just I'm a chick. And he beat him. What did he do? He beat him by 30 seconds or something. 32.
Oh man, you got to laugh. But
You got, and he was and he's like 6'4" or something. He's not
yeah,
a small dude. He's like a huge guy. It's like,
I
what the
know
fuck?
the glockenspiel in the swimmers would have been used as a little rudder just to help him just go a bit quicker. It's not fair.
Yeah. By the time he dived, this is how they change history, right? Because if we let this go, then what's the next generation that's born in 10 years? What are they going to know, right? If this is all they can find, all this kind of crap, you know, emojis with pregnant men and everything, and you know, I mean,
Insanity.
it is. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think at the same time, we're witnessing the split. You know, everyone's been talking about this split, right? And I think we're witnessing it. I think, you know, whichever way you want to look at it, right? You know, if it's a simulation or if we're, you know, controlled by whatever, or if it's spiritual, you know, free thinkers don't, you know, we're obviously the ones that are trying to get out of here, or we want something different, or we're the ones that are going to create something different. It's not the masses. So, yeah, I still think that something's gonna, I don't know what it is. I don't see that we can continue along, you know, in this low vibration plane. Now that there's so many of us vibrating higher and we want to change, we want stuff that's different, but clearly we're still the minority.
Yeah.
You know, we'd love to think we're the majority, and you know, when you're in this sort of crowd, that's all you see. But you know, go to a shopping center, you know, we're like maybe 10% if we're lucky, I reckon. But I don't see that we can exist here. So,
Mm.
you know, whether that's us building a new world, you know, here where we have our, you know, our own law or whatever. But yeah, this, I think that's what we've got to focus on, is the future and building something different. Because, you know, it's, you know, the old analogy of, you know, where your focus goes, energy flows. So even if you're saying something's crap, you're still focusing on it.
That's it.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Orphans. I mean, I got
get
an
away.
email from Dave White the other day,
Yep.
and he was saying, because we've got tunnels everywhere. He said, I wonder if there's tunnels going out under the oceans, under the wall to different lands, and populations, you know, of orphans were brought in. And we just don't know. This is the thing, right?
Yeah, that's it. We just don't know, mate. And are we ever going to know?
Well, we hope so. But I mean, the question is more important than the answer, I think, in the end, right?
Correct. I like that. I like that because it's a quest. I like that.
It's a quest. It's a quest. And so, you know, and I mean, we just said it, right? I mean, you know, how relevant is this study if we're finding out most of it's, you know, at least questionable, all the books and that? Well, we're still making ground. We're still getting somewhere.
Well, we've had a bit of a freeze. Hopefully we come back on in a sec.
It's much more about, you know, as Kelly would call it, the Tartarian consciousness, right? The awareness that comes along with it, that everything is a lie, that everything's just been put there, that we were amazing in the past and we did do all this stuff, and this whole evolution lie that we're, you know, that we're the pinnacle now, and you know, but we're finding out that's all crap, and the awakening that it gives people.
Sorry, you're just cutting out, mate.
Am I?
Yeah, I don't know if it's you or me. I've just come to a different room to try to sort it out. If it's me, I've just come closer to the intranet.
Oh,
Can you see that pic, mate?
I can. Sorry, just opening up my air
It
vent.
says my internet's unstable. I don't know why. It's
Oh, okay.
this you know,
That's
satellites aren't lined up.
those darn satellites up there in space.
Oh, those darn satellites.
It's all the wind, mate. It's blowing the balloons all over the place.
Well, yeah, exactly, mate. Far out. Look at these poor, unfortunate souls. These were called.
They probably would have ended up in the lunatic asylum because they look like they can think.
Well, mate, they're literally miners that are miners.
Yeah, right.
So you can see the lights on their hats. They've already
Wow.
got. They are smoking cigarettes.
Yeah,
He's
wow.
got a pipe. So these kids are just, you know, their controllers are just treating him like,
Yeah.
you know, like he's a cigarette, you know?
Yeah, well, like, we don't care if you die when you're 25. There's a lot more where you came from.
Exactly. It's that was in America, that photo, mate. It's pretty interesting. These, I think they were called the Breaker Boys or something like that. But there's a few different photos I have of them through these pics that we're going to run through. Here's a couple more.
Oh, yeah.
Just really interesting. You know, look at this poor kid. He's got a little sandwich. He looks like he's just having a bit of smoko.
I mean, and what are they? What, 12, 13 years old?
Yeah,
Even younger, maybe?
yeah,
And they're probably doing 12-hour shifts.
yeah. Just so unfortunate.
But it is, well, I mean, in that photo, you can see where all these gangs and stuff originated from, can't you, really?
And we're talking about, you know, the kids in the factories. Well, you know, this is what it was like.
Not even shoes, but I mean,
Just
look at
shoes.
that photo, like, look at the machinery.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. What, they've built this whole factory, the whole town, all the machinery, and they can't get shoes for the kids. I mean, that would be mean, but would be weird as well, right? Because if you got workers, even if you're going to give them cigarettes, you still don't want them to, you know, cut their feet open and stuff, do you? You know, because she's in a factory.
I know.
So it's like they've had no money. They've found it and they've just found some old clothes and gone, oh, I'll just put this on. In you go. 12 hours later, you can come out.
And just kids everywhere.
Tiny, man, tiny kids.
Yeah. And the poor things, you know, like, man, I love my kids so much, you know. It's crazy to think of the love that they would not have received, you know. And then you've got these loveless kids that are, like you said, that they have families, and there's no love. They're like there's like pubs on every street corner. They're pumping booze into the population. Really want to dumb them down, you know. So these people, they're not bringing up really conscious people, mate. So you think about where this population has come from, far out.
Mm.
And look at this. This is in New South Wales, yeah, in Sydney. Just kids in the middle of the road, mate.
Literally. And where are all the other people?
Yeah.
Where are the obviously, I mean, they're pretty young. Where are the parents or the guardians or, I mean.
Imagine this empty city. That's what I mean. I can't,
Yeah.
like, we can fathom it because we can see the pics here, you know, but that's what I like to think of, the daily life. You know, you get up, you have your breakfast, and what if there's any food, you know, just they're long days to fill in, you know, if you're not stuck in a factory. I don't know, because there's a lot of
Not much to do. I mean, Unless you're an explorer. But
they don't look happy.
no, they don't look very happy. And I mean, you know, what have we got now, right? We've got school, which is, I mean, all school is really is people started saying you can't send kids down mines. And so they went, okay, we'll send it to this, you know, place instead for 5 years and we'll just teach them what they need to do when they go down the mine. And then we'll send them down the mine when they're older.
Well,
That's all school is doing.
Sorry. Yeah, school's a brilliant concept because not only does it look, you know, kids are take like they're being looked after and they can be molded and be, you know, have this narrative shoved down their throat. Mate, with this presentation, it's going to cut out in about 9 minutes. So when it does, we'll just, I'll just send you another invite and we'll just keep going.
Cool. No worries.
Cool, bro. Yeah, this is in the rocks in Sydney. Just look at all the kids. No shoes, like you said, and they're young.
Yeah, and where are all the parents?
Well, mate, they're either drunk or they're just been, like we said, lobotomized, and they've been
lobotomized or
they've asked too many questions. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
yeah. And I've walked up and down this street many times, mate. It's still there. It's crazy. Those buildings still remain the same there. That this building up here where the arrow is, that was the first general store apparently in Sydney.
Yeah, right.
And they actually, you can go there today and they've kept it in the same condition as it was.
Oh, cool. But I mean, it just just reeks of an introduced population, doesn't it?
Everyone's
even there,
well dressed in this one. So that's obviously one of the controllers here.
Yeah.
He's very well dressed. And maybe that's just his little bit of stuff. He just, God knows what these creeps get up to.
Well, that's the thing. None of the adults are paying any attention to the kid. And the kid's like looking straight at the camera. It's a strange photo, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of, look at this, just kids doing sweeping. Look how dirty they are, barefoot.
Yeah, no shoes.
And these asylums that that the parents go to, mate, they'll be, like you said, they're big buildings. And and you look inside, like how horrible would it have been in these buildings like back then, you know, when
there was no care at all. Like they'd be lucky to get fed properly, and you know, the only medicine they were getting were bloody electric shocks or lobotomies, I think.
Yep. So this is Cambridge Street in Sydney again. And
why all the photo ops, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, someone's had to go and get everyone out or get them from somewhere and go, "Oh, stand here," and it's just weird. You would think in a new colony they'd want sort of everyday kind of pictures, but obviously not.
So again, look at this, mate. Look how old and worn these buildings are. They've been there for so long. And, you know, they're derelict. And what, they've just built them? What, and they look like they're derelict? Fuck, how does that work? Like, am I missing something here, brother? Oh, and yeah, there's poor kids just roaming the streets. You know, there's no one around.
Yeah, there's no one around, no. And that's the thing, like, I mean, we've seen the pictures of the cities at this stage. Sydney was like fully built out. You know, fully, it was huge. So like, why? There's no people there to fill it.
And who built it?
Well, exactly right. Founded.
Found, yeah, not founded. The Freemasons found their free building.
Freemasonry.
Funny that. More just kids looking after kids, bro. That's what, you know, there's no adults around, mate. The kids are looking after the kids.
Looking after the kids, yeah.
And it's complete and utter debauchery down here. These kids, they're living in squalor and God knows what these creeps were doing on, you know.
Yeah,
And
well, none
it's
of them have
funny,
got shoes on again.
yeah, and it's funny, mate. Any adults you do see, I'll show you as we go along through this. There's always an adult somewhere hiding in the shadow.
Oh, is that an adult
Really
there?
bizarre,
Okay.
mate. It's really bizarre. There's always, and there's a guy with a hat on, and you know, you said, why did they take, here you are, this is what I mean. This guy, he's in a lot of these old photos, mate. Or is that a kid as well? That looks like a kid. That's not the one. But yeah,
Actually, that looks like a kid controller.
yeah. Maybe he's, you know, yeah, exactly, bro. You do the right thing, mate. Yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
We'll look after you, mate. You keep all these little shits in
And he's
order.
a pet. Mm. And
Yeah.
like, where are the windows to that
Yeah, this is
house?
Surrey Hills, Sydney.
Why are there no windows?
They've just been built, mate. You know, no windows. And again,
Oh, they haven't finished it yet.
oh, they've
Okay.
finished it. Oh, is that what? Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Gotcha.
fuck,
Makes
silly. It's so
sense.
silly, man. You and I. I just.
Oh,
Yeah, kids
Wow.
playing the ball. You know, but again, just kids. Where are the adults? Derelict buildings. There's a theme here.
And all wood, right? You
Yeah.
can see all the add-ons and all the stuff they've done is just wood. There's no bricks. You see that everywhere.
And mate, some of the buildings, it actually looks like the kids have done the building too, because like they're literally, because if an adult's going to go in and sheet a roof, right, they're going to sheet it. Like you do it, give it some sort of form, you know.
Yeah.
So it's some of these old photos, the sheet, the roof's just, it's like the kids are just, they can't read. They got no ladders, just throwing shit up, you know, just trying to get a place to dry, to sleep. Look at this
Yeah,
creepy guy, mate. That kid looks very unhappy.
He does.
He looks miserable, mate. He's probably abused, raped. God knows what they do to these kids, mate. You know, look at this guy's head. Just want to
Yeah, he doesn't look like a good person. He's Mr. High Pants, but
yes,
he doesn't look like a friendly person, does he? And again, like that's probably because those pants don't fit him, you know.
Yeah,
Like none of them are wearing clothes that fit them.
that's a good point, mate. Yeah, and look at the machinery like you touched upon before, mate. It's amazing the intricacy of this machinery. You know,
I know. I'm trying to see what's in the box, like what they're making. I can't work it out. Looks like, I don't know. Bits of.
yeah.
They actually look a bit like the ends you put on a silicon tube, but
Bizarre.
nozzle. But yeah, who knows? Something for their. Oh, that lady's lost her head.
Well, it's just.
That's an old photo. Wow, do you know what date that one is?
Mate, I think this is actually America. This I'm not.
Oh, is
It could have been date-wise 1850 to 1900, somewhere.
Oh,
So it's
somewhere around there.
somewhere between there.
Photography was brand new, so why would they write the date on the photo? I mean, come on.
More kids, Sydney. I'm really fascinated by Sydney's history, mate, because I think it's the greatest. Because of the history being so short, it's so easy to make that just makes the whole thing redundant, you know, the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, the worst part is apparently all the documents got burnt down, right? All the history of Sydney in Australia got burnt in 1900, apparently.
Yeah, these fires, it's just, you know.
Yeah, when the exhibition centre burnt down. What is that? What is that?
It's some sort of like
gas sort of steam kind of.
But again, kids, teens, kids.
Just no safety gear, none of their clothes fit them.
Yeah. Fascinating. More kids.
And then, you know, we have this thing today of, you
This
know,
is-
these parents who are like, you know, all they're focused on is their kids have to get jobs. You have to get a job. You have to get a job. Get a job. Get a job. Get it. You can kind of see where that comes from, I guess, because
Mm.
you can imagine what happened to these kids if they didn't do their job.
Yes, and to earn a living. And it earns where we put the dead. Irony.
And earn, yeah, exactly right.
So here's
Um,
your look at these Freemason controllers over here, bro. They freak me out, these old dudes. They're so creepy. Cool. We were on here. Let's just, can you see that?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, we're touching upon these Freemason dudes, mate. This is an orphanage. Lots of kids. Sydney orphanage. These old creepy Freemasons hanging around.
I wonder where the word orphan comes from.
What is? I was thinking about that, man. What is it?
I don't know. Orph is it? What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Morpheus, but Ophiuchus. I don't know. Orphan.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to look up to the etymology, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's definitely these controller types. You know, people just go, oh, no, that's probably his dad.
They just had big families back then. Guys, come on. But I mean, what's the purpose of the photo as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is that? Is that like, hey, look how many kids we've got to sell to your factory? Or, I mean, what's the purpose of the photo? It's clearly a setup. Like, it's clearly, you know, photo opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it baffles me that, mate. It's like they've gone around the realm, like or different country, or especially in Australia, just documenting I think that's what they're doing, documenting the towns first of all. You know, it may be probably just a handful of people doing that. I don't know.
Exactly right.
But these towns, mate, they're just so interesting. The buildings just look so old. There's never any building works going on ever, funnily enough. They just
No
seem to magically like appear.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And like I said, they're all, look how old they look. They've all got wear on them, and you know, you can see all that black up in the corner there on that pillar. And this is pre-cars, so that's got nothing to do with pollution or anything. That's just weathering.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's got a bit of that old world fencing sitting there as well.
Sorry.
That fence, see behind that lady there, just where you were on the left, you can see that old ironwork. That is everywhere. It's everywhere across the world.
Yeah.
It's all black, you know, with the little sort of spear points on it. You see it everywhere.
Yeah. Who's making this stuff?
Who's my, yeah, exactly. And
the kids.
why is it all the same?
Yeah, why is it all the same? So this is more what they could build, brother. We've touched upon this before, you know. Look at this poor soul. Barefoot again.
Yeah.
And look at the machinery. Amazing.
Yeah, they can build out whole cities and that, but they can't get shoes for the orphans. But then they can send them into factories to work for them and, you know, make money off them. And I know, right? These are the people who now run the bloody charities, right? Bloody all these charities for children, you know. We wouldn't trust them.
Wow, they would have been tough nuts back then, mate. So this guy to the left, he's obviously an adult, but he looks like he's been, you know, he's been brought up in the system.
Hang on. We're still on the photo of all them at the front of the orphanage.
So you can't see any of this?
No. So maybe.
I'll shut this down.
Yeah, you'll have to, reshare. But yeah, have in Zoom for some reason. You have to do that sometimes.
Yeah, annoying. You see that one?
Yes, like out the front of the shop. Yeah.
And here, different one.
Hasn't changed yet.
Okay, so it's just not changing over by the
Big
looks of it.
back. Oh gosh, really? Come on, Zoom, get your act together.
No. Still stuck there, mate.
Yeah, it's still just that shop front sort of thing. And again, just orphans and a couple of creepy adults. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
they
that's
say a picture says 1,000 words. I
so.
just got sent these from Taylor. Like, let's see. So that, you know what that is, right? Can you see that? That's the bottom of the ball.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
And that's a zoom in. Can you see that? Do you have a look at the bottom of it on Google Earth?
A little bit higher.
I don't know if
Okay.
you can see it, but it shows that it's all pixelated
Mm.
and it's joined it into a circle. And then I've only just opened this like literally 30 minutes ago, and then I got this photo, so I'm very interested to see what the hell that is. You see that?
I can't make that out. It's yeah. What is it?
I don't know. Hang on.
Oh, it's an aerial view.
It's an aerial view, obvious of Antarctica, but it shows. It looks like it's showing ice, and then like a join line, and then all this. I don't know, brickwork or rockwork or structures of some kind, or oh, it's hard to do this in reverse. So who knows? Yeah, so I'll have to read that and give you all an update on what it is, because
Yeah.
that's freaking me out a bit. And this is the thing, right? You know, we are getting, you know, we are learning more, right? We are getting closer to the truth all the time, like with, you know, the shape of the realm and that. There's so much more coming out, and
Yeah.
so I think we are definitely getting somewhere. You know, I think we're going to get over that wall. Jeez, one creepy controller.
Mm. Oh, you can see that. Let me see if that changes now. Did that change?
No.
Yeah, far out, man.
Yeah. What? Yeah, you probably have to put them into Is that just?
That's off the internet. You know where you select your window. I just selected.
Yeah.
I'll just
show you. Yeah. It seems to work if you put them into a file and then just use them like as photos.
Okay.
I think.
So, mate, what do you think of the Mr. T haircut? I've got to quickly just say, shout out to my mate, Scotty. I did an interview with Scotty. He was the SAS Australian guy who just, the video lasted 2 hours, I think, because of the information that he was talking about. And just like you touched upon the shape of this realm we're in, mate, they've been lying to us.
Yeah. Is that the one that got taken down? That
Yeah,
interview?
off my Truth Hurts video, off my Truth Hurts channel. Yeah, it only lasted a little bit, but Scotty, thanks, mate. You inspired me to go and do this.
Right.
So
I think my analysis is, I pity the fool who doesn't have one of those.
What you talking about, fool? Is that it?
Fool, what you talking about, fool?
Yeah, pity the fool. It was funny. I did it in the hair. When I just got it done, I was sitting in the chair, and this other barber, he turned over, and once it was sort of finished, he goes, "Mate, that's cool."
That's
and
wonderful.
I turned around and I just went, "What you talking about, fool?" The guy, I don't think he knew who Mr. T was, mate. And
yeah, right. He was too young. He's like, "What the hell's this old dude on about?"
he was like, "Oh shit,
Gold chains, mate. You needed 50 gold chains on.
So that's
And
next."
the feathers, right? The feather earrings.
Yeah, that's it. My missus got some here. Don't give me.
I want to see a picture of you walking down the main street, feather earrings, and denim. You know, what do you wear?
Oh.
Denim like coverall, overalls.
I just saw some in town the other day,
Dude.
$150, and I nearly actually bought them.
Wow.
Yeah, man,
Wow.
like, why would you want overalls?
For $150. Wow.
And I'm like, well, pretty easy. Like, you just put your undies on, overalls, out you go, mate.
And you know,
You
they're
go
versatile. You can go to work. You know, you can have the one undone, so you can walk around and look sexy and cool for the chicks. You know, very versatile.
That's it, my man. That's it. So, mate, when it comes to this reality,
Fashion. Oh, okay.
so
Oh, fashion.
we've spoke like the orphans are fascinating because that's where it all began. That's where we, you know, this thing started when these orphan like the orphan trains. You've done some great videos on that.
Yeah. The trains, and I mean, it's the whole thing, isn't it? It's the incubator babies, and you know, the whole sort of story, the empty cities, and that's literally that's where we all came from. That's the past that we. Well, who knows? We can't really prove it, but that's sort of what looks like the most provable sort of recent history we can find.
Yeah.
Is we all, that's us, right? That's our great grandparents. They were the orphans. So we just, I mean, and we just don't know, right? They say this was a realm for giants, you know, and then we see all these maps up north, and they're all marked as pygmies, right? And pygmies are small people. Maybe we're the pygmies, right? And we got brought into a giant realm. Who knows? You know, because we just, yeah, this is the thing. And you look to the 1700s, there doesn't seem to be many people our size around. You know, they're all big. You get the old paintings, and you like get the people, and then you get a picture of the building today, and you can see how big they were, and they're all big. So, you know, were we brought in here, or were we reduced? Who knows? It's just, but I think we're getting there, you know. We'll find out.
That's nice, positive outlook, Cam.
All will be revealed, man. It's the apocalypse.
Yes.
The great unveiling.
Do you ever feel like Nostradamus? You know, like, yeah.
I have a beard.
You need the beard, bro. But, you know, like the funny thing is that all this stuff, like it doesn't take, once you know what's going on, it's easy to read the play, you know, like, for example, real estate. I knew that before this shit happened about 2 years ago, I knew something was going down, mate. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. Everyone thought I was crazy, you know, and left behold, little before, you know, our eyes, the weirdest thing that we ever known has happened, you know. And then, you know, little, like, so when I was talking about real estate, so it was pretty easy for me. I was like, okay, they want people in the cities, you know, and people are going to wise up to it, and they're the ones that are going to want to get out. So when I like bought property, that was the first thing I thought, okay, let's buy in, like, I chose a suburb that's got a train track near it. It's 15 minutes from the beach. It's just near the motorway as well. Anyway, cut a long story short, I knew people were coming from different areas with larger budgets. So if you start to work out like reality, you can use it to your advantage, mate. If I had more money, fuck, I would be doing really, you know, like the real estate wise, I could just, now not so much, but if we got on the bandwagon a few years back, like, wow, like, and my property's doubled in like 5 years. Like, that stuff sort of doesn't happen. See that sort of property growth, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I was just sort of thinking aloud, I guess, but it's interesting to, you know, like when we say about Nostradamus, but most, you know, most of these flat earthers and that, mate, we've all sort of predicting the play, and we're watching it friggin' happen.
Well, exactly. I mean, that happened heaps in Tartaria too, with you know, people, you know, not predicting, but, you know, people going, oh, you know, is it this? Is it this? You know, and then we'd get evidence. Yeah, it is that kind of thing. And, but like what really got me with like Jason and Archaic's work is, you know, he's literally reading, and I never got what numerology and what's it called, not geomancy, the other one, I'll say it in a minute, like the study of numbers and all that. I never really understood what it was. You know, I've watched a few videos, but I've never found a good one. And most of the time, it's just people, you know, and they sort of say a word and then a number, and they're like, "Oh, and this is 23, and that's 23," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But watching Jason's stuff, like what they're doing is they're reading the Matrix, just like Tank, right? And his brother in the Matrix movie, where they're sitting down and they got the, you know, because I remember watching that as well, going, what are they reading? What are they supposed to be able to see? I don't get it. But now I do. They would have just been looking for like the number like 33, say. And when they saw 33, they'd read it as something different. They'd interpret it as that, oh, that means something's going to change in that line. And this is what all these, you know, numerologists and stuff are doing. They're reading the code of reality, right? So because there's all these repeating things, and that's what we're starting to pick up on. We can see things repeating. We can start to see the code. We can start to see through it, and it's like what's happening at the moment with the lack of things to eat in some countries. That people have been talking about that for 18 months.
Yeah.
You know, so and then we get the question. Are we creating it, or are we perceiving it, or both? But we are, right. We're now seeing things before time, where, you know, 5 years ago we wouldn't see what they were doing until after the event had happened. You know, like with 911. Hopefully, I can say that. You know, most people, when that happened, they were like, "Oh, that's horrendous," and then it took a few months for stuff to come out. And, you know, looking back, we could work out, oh, that was a scam, right? But now we're seeing things before they put them out there. You know, like the war. As soon as that came up, like social media got flooded with stuff going, "No, this isn't the truth." This, you know, so yeah, I think we're all starting to read the Matrix. I think that's what the unveiling is, maybe, right? We're starting to be able to read the code a bit better, and so we're not being, you know, duped as much. We're not consenting as much, because in the end, it's all consent, right?
You're right.
You know, if they say, "Oh, there's going to be less food," and everyone runs around going, "There's going to be less food," that's kind of consenting. And Tom Barnett's been doing a lot of really good videos on that lately too, like on consent and how everything's pretty much consent. And it is, because as soon as we consent it, we've spoken it, and we're now creating it. Right? So it's just 100% consent.
That's right. And when it comes to consent, I think a great answer for anyone, just whenever you don't know, like feel like you're being pumped, or like by whoever it might be, pressured, you just say, "I don't answer questions."
Yeah.
Don't answer questions. Sorry. You know, don't answer questions. Sorry.
You don't have to. No one can make you answer a question. There's no anything anywhere. And, you know, and there's no law that says you have to, you know, like that question can be from a policeman, "What is your name and date of birth?" You don't have to answer that. And in fact, I would say don't. Because you're not that name and date of birth. So you're actually committing fraud by doing that, if you want to get down to it. But you know, we know that's all joinder, right? That's all them just trying to get you to say, "Yes, I'm property of the corporation. I've been naughty. Do with me what you will."
Yep. Feed me some pig and some cow.
Well, that's where we are. You know, we can now choose to consent, to do our own thing, not consent, go build a new world, or we can consent. you know, and a lot of people are not consenting and not consenting, and then stuff gets worse, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll consent.
Yeah.
Okay, it's easier to just get the job and go slip back into my routine, or it's
Oh,
easier to just
fuck,
do this,
wow,
or,
man.
but is it, yeah, exactly. Is it really? Like, think about it.
Oh,
Is it going to be easier in 5 years when you're still doing that same thing? I mean, this is one of the best things is so many people got out of their jobs, right? Out of their routine, and they got free time. And that's why everyone woke up, because they had time to read and study and ask questions. And so you know, I don't think we're ever going back to that. I'm never getting a job again. Bugger that.
yeah, man. It's a tricky one.
But we all need to work and create value, but we don't need a job.
Well, that's where I'm at, my friend, as well. And I'm utilizing all my skills, everything I know between guitar making, repairs, playing music, doing like recording, trying to, yeah, what all my skill set and using it. And it's coming. It is working. Everyone has to do that.
Yep.
You know, and that's
Yep.
what we're meant to be here doing. That's why I just from such a young age, man, I was like, I finished school and I can still remember it. Like my mother would say, okay, now it's time, you know, to get a job. The bank's closed. And I'm like, fuck, like, okay. And I remember I started as a baggage handler at Qantas. And I was
Nice.
18. Yeah. And I was 18, mate. And this guy I started with, he said, job for life. And he was stoked, job for life. And that terrified me, mate. And then one day, yeah, I'd been there 6 months, and this guy, this old guy, but he was retiring that week. And Phil, or whatever his name was, mate, he said a sentence, and he said, like, it was a 4-word sentence. It might have been like, it's hot today or something. And he managed to fit 5 fucks in that one sentence. And that, yeah. And it was like, fucking, it's fucking hot, fucking here, fucking today, fucking. And I just went, well, he's retiring. This is a job for life. I was like, that's me.
You're going to turn out like him.
I knew then, man. I was like, I'm out of here. And the next day I went and handed in all my stuff, you know, but that was that.
Yeah.
Jobs.
Yeah. I remember working in a factory for, lasted about 6 months as well. And same thing, like dudes walking around that had been there for 20 years, 30 years. And some of them were then getting their kids into it. Like their kids were working with them. And I'm like, what? But yeah, to them, that was
awesome.
Was them doing the right thing, right? They were securing them. They were getting a secure income for their kids and that. Working a fucking factory.
Yeah. Or what about the old garbage man? Mate, in my area, it was considered the bee's knees, right? To be 6 months of the year, a lifeguard. And then because the lifeguards, only work 6 months of the year, they then got jobs as garbologists. So I remember growing up, more of my mates were like, fuck, I can't wait to get on the garbos. And I'm like, fucking garbos? What are you talking about? I wanted to be a rock star, mate. I was like, fucking garbage, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but this is the thing. They were obviously doing it for lifestyle, but because we're brought up as your only option is a job, you know, instead of all these guys thinking, what business can I start and what can I do for those 6 months, their only go-to is what job can I get? You know, and this is the programming, right? Like,
man. And then
we've got to change that. Like, how do we create value rather than let someone use our value to create more value for themselves off our back? Because that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Yep.
And it's it's an awful way to like that reality when that bit me at a young age, going from, you know, school to leaving and having to work, mate. I was depressed. I just couldn't believe I was getting up so early and, you know, spending all day doing, like, throwing bags around, you know. It's crazy, mate. And then it's funny, while we're on jobs, and then I got a job. My next thing was, out of 5,000 kids, I got an apprenticeship as a plant mechanic at the Patrick Stevedores in Sydney.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and made 5,000 Aussie kids went for it, and I managed to get it. And when I got it, when I got it, the guy said to me, I think I've told this story before in another vid, mate, but I had to repeat year one. So my whole life I thought I was a dunce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they don't like people who ask questions, mate. I was a question asker. So that's what they do to me, the guys like us. They put them, make you look stupid, and then you stop asking questions because you don't want to fucking look like an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all that, and then finally, when I started at this job, this guy goes, "Mate, we're a bit worried that you won't last here because of your IQ." And I was like, "Oh shit, am I really dumb?" You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you had to do an IQ test.
And he said, "No, it's the opposite."
Mate, you're too smart. That's when you should have said, "Yeah, well, I'm here for the electrical engineering job, buddy."
Yeah, well, it was sort of like
Yeah.
mechanical, electrical engineer. It was all that stuff, plant mechanics. It was really, like anyone who, like mechanical engineering is a good thing to learn, I think, mate, it's real. It's not like you're going to uni.
You can
you
build
know,
things.
like, mate, I went into the bottle shop to get a nice bottle of organic red wine the other day. And I said to the guy who works behind the counter, "What are you, is this your thing, mate?" And he goes, "Oh, I go to uni as well." And I said, "What are you studying?" He said, "Ancient history." Oh,
You poor bugger.
I just looked at his big fat head and I was like,
Did you give him my channel? Go check this channel out, mate.
Yeah, mate. I went in there one day and he calls me Gaz, he's like, "Gaz, can you I ruined our relationship because he's all nicest pie. He's like, "Gaz, can you put a mask on, mate?" And I said, "No, mate, I'm not fucking wearing a mask." And I said, "It's all bullshit, that." And he seriously went, "Oh, I don't want to hear it."
What? But he studies history.
Yeah.
How do you think we all got here? If there's deadliness in the air. Oh my God. Some people are just so silly.
Mate, I love the word pea brain. Or the
Pea?
word pea.
Pea brain.
Little green pea.
And that's kind of what it is, like they only allow their consciousness to go out so far, right?
Right.
And then he hits a board and they're like, and they want to retreat. No, go away. Don't make me think. That's way too hard. Whereas we're the opposite. We're like trying to push it out there. Someone says something, we don't like, well, really? Oh, tell me more about that, and other people are getting offended. So yeah, and this is, it's like the tourists, I guess, right? We're going out, they're going in. So I still think there's something, something coming up. Who knows if it's going to be 2040, in like Jason said, there's going to be a reset or
Jason's stuff. I just want to throw it. I don't know the guy. You know what I mean? Came onto the scene pretty quick. Heaps of subs real quick.
Well, he's been around for about 3 years or so, I think.
Oh, has he? Okay, well, I'll take that back.
Yeah. It was only after.
I've noticed his growth, though, bro. I should reword that. What I will state is that his growth has been very, huge, mate, in a short period of time.
He's about 11,000, 12,000 now, I think.
Yeah, so that's within. He was only on when he did the interview with Santos Bonacci. He was like, 3,500, 4,000 views or something, mate. So within that time frame, think of it. Like now, look at me in my Truth Hurts video. I'm asking. I'm on the different
side.
You
need to get on Syncretism Society, like what do we call it now? Mexico. The big Syncretism Society Mexico. You need to get on there. I mean, I don't know, right? I mean, and we don't know. Everything's got to be taken with a grain of salt. But yeah, basically, Jason, went on Sync Society, and then I think he got like about 3 just from that, and then obviously he's done a few other big interviews because for people that saw him on there. So, but we don't know, right? he's definitely got a lot of info, and I'm going to have another chat with him and ask him some more questions, try and
Oh, you having
drill
another
down a
chat with
bit.
him?
Yeah, I want to do a Q&A
Okay.
and drill down a bit more. But I mean, this is the thing. Being autodidactic, you never really, you don't believe someone just because they say something. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. He could, but it's up to us to do the research and
Yeah.
and check it out and say what's the deal,
Yeah.
and definitely not to get scared about it. A lot of people were sort of going, "Oh my God, the world's going to end in 2040." But he's not actually saying that. When you listen to him, he's talking more what sounds like like the shift, right? Like
It's
Dolores
like
Cannon was talking
a,
about and all this kind of stuff.
what's the word? Like a perennium shift or something. Like it's like you said. I think you asked him like what might happen, and he's like, well, you might just wake up in some building somewhere, and you got different people around you or something.
This is the thing, and I've interviewed Sonia from Tree of Knowledge and JCK, and separately they've both said to me separately. I think JCK said it in one of her videos. Same thing. Like they literally, because they're both sort of clairvoyant psychic types, and they both said, "Oh, I woke up on a ship." Well, what they perceived was a ship in this chair, surrounded by all these people who were really friendly and knew me. But I didn't. When I asked them where I was, Sonia said, she goes, "Where am I?" And the person said, "You always say that when you wake up here.
Wow.
Don't worry, you'll remember." And they sent her back.
What's fascinating about it too, bro? So this is where it gets crazy. So if the time is different in here to us, right?
Yeah.
So our lives can seem like lifetimes, mate.
Yeah.
They could be plugged into the real we could, like you said, could be plugged into, like in the movie The Matrix, literally just plugged in. We might be just having an experience it might be 2 days for them or something.
Yeah.
But they're plugged in, and it's a lifetime for us.
Yeah, it's like that movie, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I remember
Inception.
Inception, yeah, where they go down different layers, and the lower down they get, the more distorted time gets, and they can spend years and come back, and it's like an hour. And that's again, referring to Jason. He says that if this is a simulation, obviously a simulation is simulating something, right? So it's a simulation of a real place. So it's not like it's a video game. And his sort of take on it is more like they're using it to throw different scenarios out there and to learn. So it's like in the real world, if we're all sitting in a chair somewhere plugged into a VR system, then something's going on in that world, and they need to figure out quickly how to react to it or how to act or whatever. And so people jump in and they run through all these lifetimes and simulations, and in 3 or 4 hours they can pop out with answers that literally would have taken lifetimes to get. So
that makes sense, doesn't it?
It's an interesting theory. It does make sense. It really does. And it could be anything, right? It could be, maybe there's an attack, or maybe they need to know how to go forward, or maybe maybe global warming's real in that situation or something, or I don't, maybe they've got elites too, right, that are trying to rule people, and they need to know how to get rid of them. Could be anything. And so they just, throw the scenarios out there and work out the best way that is going to get, do the least harm, I guess, and get the best results. And it kind of makes sense, because we all know this life, it just feels a bit restrictive, doesn't it? It feels like it's not the full the full experience. Like it, I don't know about you, but I feel like like we're being kind of compressed in here, and there's a lot more to who we are and to what reality is, but we're not privy to it at the moment because we're in a finite simulation, maybe. So it's all food for thought.
Yeah, man.
And then what does that do to history, right? I mean, why are they putting all this? I mean, what it also does is it kind of makes it more relevant, because if it's part of the simulation, well, it's there for a reason, right? you know, a simulation's like a cartoon. Things don't end up in them unless someone's gone out of their way to put them in there.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show that, mate, maybe we're a little bit more important than we realize in this. You know, if it's a simulation, that you know, us misfits, you know, that are out here trying to question stuff. You know, like we, like you said, we're the minority, but maybe they're studying us. You
Yeah,
know, we just don't know. You know,
we don't know how many people are down here, and how many NPCs do we?
oh, there's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah,
Far.
and that's the other thing. It could just be personal training, right? If you want to get mentally tough or whatever, you know, you come in here for your lifetime, right? That'll make you mentally tough, right? You got to put up with all these people, figure out,
Yeah.
you know, what your ethics really are, what you're going to stand up for, and what you're going to bend for. And
Well, look at
yeah,
suicide, mate. Like the suicide rate, people just neck themselves without a thought these days. And why? Because it's a fucking, you know, if you're living this life, if you're living, you know, if you're unconscious and you like, what a shit existence. And they don't know it. They can't work out what's wrong. They can't put their finger on it. They're not happy. They don't know why. They're going to the doctor. They're giving them antidepressants. They're not going to the doctor and the doctor says, how much exercise do you do? How much sun do you get? What do you eat?
how can you smile and dance?
You know, no, take these tablets.
Yep. I was thinking about that before, because I'm seeing a Chinese doctor, and you go into a Chinese doctor and literally it's 5 or 10 minutes. You know, even the first time they check you out, they feel you, they pretty much, yep, you know, they're sort of onto it straight away. And then most of their money they make, I mean, I haven't even been charged for a consultation, but then they sell you herbs and stuff, and that's where they make their money, right? You go to a doctor and he sits down there and he's like, oh, well, you've got to pay me $100 5 minutes if you want to see me, and oh, my time's so important. But they expect you to sit in the waiting room
Yep.
for what, half an hour or an hour. Literally, they're just saying, your time is not worth anything, but my time is so important. I mean, they can go and shove their heads up there.
Big time, mate. These like GPs, man, doctors, look, we need surgeons. We need great, you know, we need great medical people. There's no doubt about it. But these GPs, we don't need GPs, mate. They can just fuck off. They should just take all the medicine that they give to people and shove it up their ass and see.
See what happens.
Yeah, just killing, mate. Just good. They think it's all right just to kill everyone that comes through there, because that's what they're doing to everyone.
And heaps of the you know, we get told, you know, marijuana is a gateway drug.
Yeah.
The biggest gateway drugs are pharmaceuticals.
That's right.
Like, so many people start off on pharmaceuticals prescribed and they end up addicted to this stuff, and then they go into harder stuff and street drugs, and you know,
that takes your soul, man. I've had I can't feel my left arm. I had to teach myself how to play guitar again because of my neck injuries, you know. But throughout my earlier days, man, the advice was endone. They used to hand me out these endone. I remember I said to my girlfriend or wife at the time, I said, what are you doing up there? I was sitting on the lounge and she was fucking floating on the, you know, on the ceiling. Off my head within 1 week. These tablets were supposed to last a month. I was loving them. I was loving them that much. They lasted a week. And before you know it, mate, you just fucking can't, these endones, you just, and then you get, mate, they hand them out like lollies and they fuck you up. And that's only one drug. There was all sorts of, you know, and anyway, mate, they just, this medical, wow. Then they're trying to give me a drug for my nerve damage. It's a drug for people with like cerebral palsy and stuff, who have problems with their nerve, you know, it's all nerve stuff, you know. And mate, it was $150 a fortnight for these other tablets. $150. And I was like, fuck, so I'm walking around off my head on endones, on all this other shit. you know, and it took me probably, that probably ruined 2 or 3 years of my life, like just taking all, like I was fucked.
Mm.
But I just didn't know. No one was going, try this, try that. And then the only way I solved it, I got to the point where I just said, I'm never fucking touching that shit again. And I was supposed to be in a wheelchair by the time I was like